Welcome to episode 1 of the Outer Limits podcast. My name's Chris Leone. Today I am interviewing Simon Granner, who is my business coach, and he is a father, he's a husband, and he's the founder of the CFO network. So welcome to the show.
Personal CFO network. I forgot the P. The P is the most important part. But appreciate it. Appreciate it.
A
Happy to be
hundred,
on your show.
100%. So what I'm thinking is I personally want to get to know you more on a personal level. So I think we could start there with a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from? And that'll kind of lead us into what's next.
Sure. Where to grow up? I was born in Virginia, lived there. My dad was an engineer, mechanical engineer, so we traveled around a bunch of times. So we moved to Marietta, Ohio, Richmond, New York, or I'm sorry, Pittsford, New York, suburb of Rochester, and then we moved to Clinton, Iowa. Then we moved to Downers Grove, Illinois, and moved to Downers Grove. He became a CFP, financial planner, and we stayed in Illinois ever since. So people are like, "Where'd you grow up?" I'm like, I don't know, all over, like an army brat without the army kind of thing. So,
Where was your favorite place you ever lived?
um, favorite place. I mean, like when I was a kid, I just played outside. There's no difference. You just play outside and you go play basketball and you ride your bikes and stuff. So I would say like when I moved from New York to Iowa, people were like, "Whoa, you're from New York? That's super cool." And then when I moved from Iowa to Illinois, they're like, "That's not cool that you moved from Iowa. Iowa sucks." So I don't know. I mean, Iowa was cool because I was a kid. I was like 7 to 12 and we just rode bikes all around town and did fun stuff. So um I didn't have any money. I didn't have any I was just like I had a basketball and like rollerblades and I just did whatever wherever. So um I think I wasn't very perceptive of the world around me, maybe let's just say as a child. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
What do you mean by that? Perceptive? Like you didn't really think about things, or
um
you weren't really.
yeah, like I mean I wasn't thinking very deeply about life as a kid. I was just playing. I was just like living, it's like we talk about like impulse to intention. Like I was not living intentionally. I was just living impulsively. Like, oh, I like Gatorade, so I'm gonna go buy Gatorade with my money. Or I want money, so I'm gonna get a paper out and then like have some money. Or if I want to go play basketball, I just go play basketball. I wasn't looking with like a macro view on anything. I was just tunnel vision to like I like movie, I watch movie, you know,
Mhm.
and nothing I can do to go back in time, but I wish I would have acted with more intention at a younger point in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. I mean, we grew up in a different generation. I got my first phone when I was in seventh grade, and I didn't have the internet, and YouTube wasn't around yet, and
Yeah,
we still played street hockey and played until the street lights went out, and
for sure.
that's how life was. Yeah, I think we're the
Yeah,
generation millennials where you had both. You got to see the internet at the beginning of it, but you had life prior
for
to the
sure.
internet.
For
So
sure.
there's huge pros to that. Like
How
I
how
actually can't
how old are you?
imagine 32.
Okay, so I'm 36, so you probably got internet and phone a little bit before I did, but same zone pretty much. A lot of childhood without any technology, basically. Like we called home phones. Like, can Billy come out and play? When I was in elementary school, it was like during summer, no one had cell phones. Like I remember we made fun of somebody that had a cell phone in middle school, and we're like, oh, we thought he was like part of the CIA or something because he was like super cool with his cell phone, Motorola. But it was a lot of childhood without technology for sure. For sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's more difficult nowadays because
For
if you
sure.
grow up and you only have technology, which my nephews, that's exactly how they live, where their whole life is through a phone, through tech. And a lot of the young kids now, they do really well, whether it's with social media, whether it's content, whether it's with job and career because they understand the new world. But
Yeah.
there's so many things that they didn't learn, which is the face-to-face stuff that some people
Yeah,
argue that's old news. You could build
for sure.
businesses online and you could do everything online, which is really, it's 100% correct. But there's a huge missing link with a lot of young people where they don't have the simple skills of saying to the person next to them in public, hello, how are you?
For
And
sure.
being curious and all the social um, EQ that you learn by virtue of just having life be that way. So
Yeah.
it's completely different. But in terms of like doing things differently, like how would you have moved differently? And do you think you'd be where you are now if you did?
If I hadn't moved states or if I had technology earlier.
Yeah, if you mentioned being more intentional, we all would love to be more intentional. We could all strive towards it, but
For
what would
sure.
have changed? How would you have been more intentional with your life?
Um, I think committing to things for longer, like not being as much of a wimp. And like, I didn't really start lifting weights until I was in college, like seriously. And obviously, I'm super jacked now. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely not jacked at all. But I was like a buck 50 when I entered college, 6 feet tall, and I graduated 180. And it was probably like 5 pounds of beer, 25 pounds of muscle or something. But like I started being intentional with like reading, reading books and working out and like being more intentional with my friendships and like making sure that I wasn't doing things that, uh, like rub people the wrong way. And I'll tell you actually a story that I haven't shared publicly on the internet, I don't think. I actually even told a lot of people offline this, but when I was 17, maybe 17 or 18, like the year before I graduated high school, I was really into poker and like everyone poker was like a big thing in my school. And I kind of got addicted to making money because I was pretty good at poker. And I had a whole spreadsheet of like every date that I ever played and then who was there and then what I bought in and what like did I win or lose. I had like it was like a P&L for poker and I was up like $3,000 over 4 years or something like that. It's where it's like, and I calculated my hourly rate because I'm a nut job. And I was like addicted to making money, but it was weird because like these were guys that like I played soccer with and like we played sports with. And so like literally I was like winning money off my friends, but I wasn't the only one. Like other people were winning and losing. And like there was a lot of money moving around, $50 at a time. And my senior year, I got this idea that like if I could just know what one of the cards was in one person's hand, then I would have an unfair advantage because then if I was ever playing that person and I knew that they had a seven, I would have an unfair advantage. So I dealt a card off the bottom of the deck because I watched a movie and they're like, "Oh yeah, you could do this," and I ended up getting into a big hand with there was 10 people at the table. One guy had the card and I knew what he had, and somebody called me on it and they're like, "You just dealt a card from the bottom of the deck," and it was like a coming to Jesus moment where I was like, I feel like I have to admit that I just did that. I can't be like, no, I didn't. And I was like, you're right, I did. And one of my other friends was like, oh man, you should have just said you didn't do it. I would have totally believed you. And then I was sitting there at my friend's house. We'd been organizing these poker tournaments together, Sam Fela, uh, for like multiple years. We were really good friends. We played hockey. We did all this stuff. And he's like, I don't know what to say, man. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna like leave. And like I gave all my it was like $200, gave all the money back to the pot, and I walked out. I should have got the shit kicked out of me by like everyone there. That's what should have happened. But I left, and then I came back to his house, like my other friend's house, and like tried to apologize and stuff. But it was like it just like the bridge was burned. Like that next like 6 months of high school, Simon was the guy that you can't trust. Simon was the guy that
Mhm.
he cheats in poker. And I had this like scarlet letter that I walked around with me that when I went to that summer, I didn't like hang out with anyone. I just worked. I like sold Cutco knives. And then I went to college and I was like, I'm never gonna make a decision for money. that impacts another person, that I'm never going to like screw someone over, especially a friend, to for money. And that was like the worst example of it. But I'm sure there's other examples of my childhood where I was just like doing things for myself and like, I want to win. I want money. I'm going to get this. And it's just, I can't, I can't go back and like rebuild those friendships. They're ruined. You know what I mean? And I haven't really even tried. I could, but it just was like, I'm just going to like be good to everyone I meet now for the rest of my life from like 18 to 36. I'm just going to try to do the right thing. So that's like a really tangible example that haunts me to this day of like, man, I effed that up, you know, but I got to own it because I did it. So
Did you ever apologize or have a conversation with them to try and make amends?
yeah, I did. The guy that I cheated against was not a friend of mine. He was like from a different friend group that is like cross pollinated over. So he's like, I don't even have a cell phone number, like, you know. But the guy that Sam Fela, the guy that I was like in his like we did all the tournaments together. We'd hosted at my house, we'd hosted at his house. We played hockey a bunch together also. He was like the main guy that was like he felt hurt the most because we were like, this is like our thing that we did together, you know. Um, and I bought him like a new set of poker chips. Like, I don't know why that would like totally work. And I apologized to him. And then I came back after in like fall term. Some of my other friends were like, hey, we're playing basketball, or we're gonna play poker. I'm like, I don't play poker anymore. I don't want to do that. And they're like, yeah, it's and like, no, it's fine. We're totally over it. We're totally over it. It's not even a big deal anymore. Um, and and then they're like, oh yeah, it's at Sam's house. I'm like, I can't go to Sam's house, you know. And so I ended up, they're like, no, come on, come on, come on. So I went over and it was just like, it was fine. It was just like the trust was broken and I don't know. I just didn't put the energy in to rebuild that trust. I probably should have, but um, I just decided I'm going to make, you know, good decisions from here on forward. You know what I mean? But they did
A
forgive
hundred.
me. They said it was okay, but it was like, it didn't feel okay. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
at least you have a healthy conscience where there's certain people that live their whole life and it's all about them, and they believe it's a dog eat dog world, and they believe if they themselves aren't getting one up on the world, then somebody else is doing it to them, and that's
yeah,
part of their justification for doing that. But at the end of the day, when we're super young, we all have those stories where sometimes we don't even know why we do what we do. A
yeah,
lot of times we're just young boys with testosterone that make a decision on a whim, and we don't think how it's going to affect somebody else. And then later you reflect on, actually, I was a horrible friend at that time. I actually went through that same thing a couple years ago in my sobriety journey. When I got sober, one of the things that you do when you first get sober is write down on a sheet of paper all the people that you've hurt in your whole life. And
yeah,
it ends up being a super long list. And if you're able to, if it isn't going to bother or hurt or affect the life of that person, because you might actually have had a huge um, falling out with them and they don't want to hear from you, at least apologizing to yourself or writing down what your part in it, so you can actually release that from yourself. Because the last thing you want to do when you have regrets in life is carry it around like a badge of honor.
for sure.
Because at the end of the day, you're a different person than you were. And that's why I mentioned if you ever apologize, because that's the best that we could
Yeah,
do at that point. But
yeah.
what I wanted to mention too, you mentioned like having a hustle and having a P&L mentality when you were younger. Was that inherited, or was that something you think was in your DNA? Where did that come from?
Uh, my dad's been trying to figure that out for a long time. Um, I've never been, I'm trying to think of like the earliest example of trying to make money or whatever. I hate these stories where it's like, oh, I've always been an entrepreneur my whole life. It was always selling candy to people. But it's like, that's honestly like, I've never been employed anywhere for long. I'll tell you, well, like, where did it come from? It's 100% just DNA, like just genetic. Like, it's just like, I don't want to, I never understood why someone would get a job at the car wash, because I got a job at the car wash. And I'm like, so I get 5.75 an hour plus tips, and I wear this stupid uniform that's like different color blues, and then I have to show up like literally all my friends are playing street hockey, and I'm working for $12. I can just like literally ask an old person next door to me if I can, like, does their lawnmower work? Can I use it? Can they give me $20 to mow their lawn? And then they say yes. And then I can just schedule it on a Thursday or a Saturday, whenever I'm free, to get twice as much money for in 30 minutes as I would have had to spend 4 hours. So it was all just like, it was never about making money. It was, I always wanted to solve for having fun at all times. And I can only have fun at all times if I don't have anything to do. And if I have, but then I sometimes need money to do things for that are fun, but I don't want to work, because then I would have to be working and not having fun. So I have to find a way to get money without working. So it's like reverse engineering. I want to have fun all the time. I need a little bit of money. Dad, can I have money? No. Okay. How do I get money? So then it was just, I needed money for the fun. And then no one gives it to me for free. So I got to find who will give me money, you know? And so, uh, yeah, that's, like, even if you ask my wife, she's like, you just always want to be the fun guy. It's like, yeah, I like having fun. I don't know. Like, it's fun to have fun. So, if I have to make money in order to buy the time and freedom to be able to do what I want, then sign me up. So your audio, wait 1 second. I don't have your audio. 1 second. You got audio there?
Yeah, we're good. We should be good.
Okay. You cut out for like 10 seconds.
How much do you think that's inherent in people in general, and how much do you think that could be learned and acquired? Because there's certain people that don't in their head think at all at any point in time what you just said, where what you just said, that's how I worked. When I was 18 years old, my grandfather had his boat at the Ford Yacht Club in Grosio. And one summer, he's like, hey, there's this McGuire's guy who's showing people how to detail boats. Why don't you go out there and just give it a shot? And I did it. And then he's like, well, now that you could do that, why don't you go ask my friend over there who has a boat if you could clean his boat? And from 18 to 24 years old, my summer job was detailing boats. And I had my little card, Mac Marine Services,
Yeah.
and I was making
Yeah.
300 bucks cash a day. And my friends had to work all week getting paid $8 an hour to do the same. So for me, it was kind of inherent, but it was also, I would do research on how business works and whatnot. So the general public, a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. They want to work on their own schedule. They want to have a product or service that they offer people and live a certain type of lifestyle. How much do you think is acquired and how much do you think is inherent?
That's a great question. I feel like I've changed my mind on this, on my perspective of this question a lot. But first of all, I have no idea. Second of all, um, I don't know if I was given money as a kid. I don't think I would have been as creative to try to find money. If someone gave me money and said, here, you can get whatever you want, $10,000 a year as a 10-year-old or whatever, you get a bank account, you can just draw whenever you need to go to the movies, go to the movies. I'm pretty confident I would not be working for money. I don't really like love business. I don't really like, I got to go get a bunch of money. Like, it's never been about how do I get money? It's if I want sushi, I want sushi. And I don't want anyone to tell me I can't have sushi because it's $13. Like, when I was a kid, I wanted cheesy goldfish and Mountain Dew because my parents only bought healthy stuff and I couldn't. We had money, like we like weren't poor, Like we had like strawberries and fruits and bananas and, meat. And like, it's not like we were destitute. They just didn't buy me what I wanted. My friends, which were probably poorer than me, got fruit roll-ups and candy and the bad stuff. And I wanted Pizza Hut pizza and McDonald's. And I rode my bike and gave $20 to Pizza Hut and to bought my own pizza because I wanted Pizza Hut. And I'm like, because my parents would say, no, you can't have money and you can't have Pizza Hut. So I'm like, I got to get money because I want Pizza Hut. I want money for McDonald's. I want money for the stupid stuff. So it was just about choice. But if they gave me the money for everything that I ever wanted, I feel like there's a lot of people, like you talk about like the immigrant hustle. People come to America from Russia or Ukraine or whatever, any country, and they get here and they have nothing. And they're sleeping outside under a bridge and they have a kid with them. Kid's hungry, they're hungry, they figure it out. They figure out how to make money because they have to. But if you come and they're like, oh, here's some nice and warm bed and a little, give me a little massage and a little cup of warm milk, then that's like, it feels like our society is, we're all sipping warm milk and there's no reason because everything's so comfortable in our world. You don't have to kill a buffalo to eat. You can just you can make 7 figures at a job in a nice corporate office and have a nice little smooth transition to everything. Like there's no reason to even take the risk because you can get money without getting uncomfortable. So I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for that, but I used to think everyone should be an entrepreneur. And now I think people should just do their best with whatever they're capable, because like the world is so different than like 10,000 years ago that, just there's so many ways to do things. If you just do your best, there's so many non-entrepreneur jobs that are sweet, with
Mhm.
way less risk. And if you need to be an entrepreneur, no one's going to stop you, and if you don't, it's like, cool, dude, 800,000 other jobs. There's a billion other jobs that are awesome without doing it, you know? I don't know. What's your take on that question? How would you answer it?
I go back to what are you solving for? So my answer would be completely different a long time ago than it is today. Now I'm able to define it because I've thought about it intentionally for a long enough period of time. But like how you're solving for the things that you like to eat or do that are exclusive to you, I'm the same exact way. So I like to reverse engineer what does life for Chris look like in his ideal world? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Who's around me? It's less about income, but income is an equation because it's helping me solve for the things in my life that are going to make me feel good, that are going to provide for my family, my friends. So first, it's getting intentional and actually writing down what does a life look like and feel like. And for me, it's a different version of autonomy. One, it's I want to do things on my own time. I want to not have to answer to anybody. And I want to be able to set my own schedule. I want to go where I want to go when I want to go there with who I want to go there with.
Yeah.
And I created that master plan of what does life for Chris look like if money wasn't an equation. But being as though I have a business, obviously there's a full schedule and pieces of the puzzle that I have to put in place that are gonna allow and afford that lifestyle. So number one is just solving for the lifestyle that I want, identifying what that is first, and then reverse engineering, well, what does life have to look like now? And over the course of time, am I able to unload things that I'm not good at? So delegating. And, I'm sure you read the book. Is it Who Not How?
Yeah. Yeah. Big fan. Looking at it. That's one of these. One of these on the shelf. Love that book.
Yeah, that book is unbelievable. Like I'm not that great at a lot of things, but I'm really great at knowing what I'm not great at and asking a person who's way better than me
Yeah.
at that thing. So that's my thoughts on that. And it constantly evolves. Like I do love work. I do love having purpose. I'm not the person who, you know, talks about retirement at 45. I'm like, what does that even mean? I actually want my life to be interchangeable in and out of the work that I do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm solving for essentially. And I think it's learned behavior. Some people, right now it's so cool to be an entrepreneur. It's a hot button thing. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They have an LLC and they sold 4 t-shirts in the
Yeah.
past year and they call themselves an entrepreneur. And I actually think a lot of people would be better served being traditional and having a full-time job, that they put that extra effort on the side into their escape route or into the thing that they love and that they're passionate about, that they could see as being the main thing. Because there are people right now that decided to leave their awesome job that they actually went to school for, and they were making whatever they were making, 75K, 100K, and they're dissatisfied, but they made the jump too early.
Yeah.
But now they're the starving artists of the business that they're now doing, and
Yep.
it's now a job, and it loses what made it amazing in the first place.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because like when you introduced, you're like part of he's founder of CFO Network. And I said, no, it's P for PCFO. That P is so important to me as a critical distinction from CFO, because CFOs give advice to businesses on finance. PCFOs give advice to humans. And if you look at like I have this whole like salesman, self-employed, small business owner, shareholder, closely held corporation, like that progression, the entrepreneurial journey or whatever. There are so many people that are salesmen at a Fortune 500 company or at a big organization or a small business, and they are wildly in over their heads with what self-employment or small business ownership would look like. And they don't realize how great that they have it, how easy it is. Being a salesman is the best job in the world, you know? And if they had a personal CFO that, or a person, or just any person that could help them before they quit their job recklessly without a plan, and said, tell me what are you solving for? What are you trying to accomplish? Who do you want to be? What is your challenge? Who do you want to be over here? What is your challenge here? And then help them do it without blowing the number of people that are like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur when I grow up because Gary Vee said everyone should be an entrepreneur. Fine. Why not be intentional with it? Salespeople are inherently impulsive. A lot of people are impulsive in general. And if they were to say, we want to do this, but why not screw your family over? Why not go bankrupt in this process? Why do you need to create this comeback story? Why don't you just figure it out the right way? Do it the right way, and 6 months delay gratification for 6 months, but then have it work. Because maybe you stay at your
I
company
could
because if you stay there, you could become CEO. If you're a badass entrepreneur, but really you're like an entrepreneur, you could become CEO and make $40 million a year at your own company that you're at now, not as an entrepreneur. And you'd be way richer than most entrepreneurs ever would ever have a chance to become. You know, who cares?
No, I couldn't agree more. We're going to go deep on this in the next 5 seconds. But first, I think it'd be good to share a little context of your professional background, first as a financial advisor turned founder of this company. So if you could give a little context so people could get a feel for where are we going when we talk about personal CFO, I would love to get a little context of your background as an advisor and then why you decided to start this company and what is this company and what are you trying to solve for? What did you see while you were a financial advisor that you felt there was a need for this market and this service to people?
Yeah. So first of all, I was like 97% sure you were going to go into an ad read there. That was like, before we do this, a moment from our sponsor. uh, Quest Nutrition protein shakes. Yeah,
No sponsors yet.
no
I was gonna
sponsors
actually
yet.
have a fake sponsor. I'm the sponsor for now of my own. I'm not gonna tell you the brand to give them
Lemon
FaceTime,
water,
but yeah, it
sponsored
starts
by
with an
lemon water.
L. It starts with an L.
The electrolyte drink. Okay, yeah, whatever. There's magnesium, there's potassium. What's in the drink? All right. So, backstory. So I'll give you the high level story. So 36 years old, 22 years old. I graduated without a college degree or without a job, marketing finance degree. My uncle says, "Oh, you should be work for me, do marketing for my financial planning practice." So I helped him grow his business there, and then he fired me and said, "Go be an advisor and do sales." So I did sales at a company called Grubhub. That was pretty successful. I had two stints as an advisor. First stint was selling product. And nothing wrong with selling product, but like I was focused on selling product. I was not focused on selling people. I mean I was focused on making money is what I was focused on, honestly. And I realized like I can make a ton of money in finance, but what if I was not focused on profit and I was only focused on people? Could I make this work too? And so I shifted my entire philosophy, my mindset. I hired a business coach, actually, several business coaches, and then converted my entire religion from I'm going to make money to I'm going to help people do what's best for them, regardless of whether I get paid or how I get paid. And that's the business that I built for the last 5 years before I left, up until September of 2020. And the last couple years at my firm, I was at a life insurance company similar to you, and we had investment management, financial planning, insurance. We had the full gamut of everything. But because it was an insurance company, the financial planning stuff that I was doing, I was working with business owners and high income people and higher net worth people. If they had investments, we managed them. If they didn't, we did planning. And so the things that I was doing, I wasn't calling it personal CFO then, but that's was like the brainchild for what is now personal CFO. But the bottom line was I had demand from other advisors at my firm that were like, we want to do what you're doing. We want to do this type of stuff. And so I started doing joint field work with them. And then I was meeting with my business coach, and my calendar was like 50% joint field work, 50% my own clients. And I'm like, this kind of sucks because I'm really good at marketing. I can get my own clients, but I'm paying 50% for these people to set an appointment with me. And some of these appointments aren't even good, you know? So it's like, all right, you gotta skill up. You gotta teach them how to get you better clients. And then the clients have to be worth more than twice as much and then you have to teach them, what do you say before the meeting? What do you do this? And I'm like, geez, this is a lot of work. Like, I'm just going to get my own clients. So I like kind of like got my own clients, and then advisors kept coming back and bringing me meetings. And I'm like, no, what do I do with these meetings? You know? So I went to my coach, and he's like, why don't you do a coaching program? You're charging a fee for advice for clients. Why don't you teach these advisors how to set meetings for you and put a paywall up in front of them? And so I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. So I did that. I did 30,000 in sales in my first month, 10 units at like $3,000 a piece for a coaching program. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Coaching's crazy. What is this? And my firm was, I get an email like a month later. My firm's like, oh, so that little folksy coaching program you got going on over there. Yeah, you can't do that. We love your practice. Insurance production is up, investments up, financial planning is great. You should come around and teach other advisors free what you're doing. You can't charge them money though. That's silly, you know. And so I'm like, I don't want to go into management to like teach people for free or teach people for a salary. And I got to make a choice. Like, do I continue your practice is fine. You got to shut this thing down. I'm like, but I had called all the people. I'm like, you guys want your money back? And they're like, no, we don't want our money back. We want you to help us. Okay, well, I should help them, right? So I made a plan. I made a 8-month exit plan with my wife. Ended up selling my practice and went all in on coaching, and have been doing coaching consulting. The first year was great because I was just collecting a ton of cash up front. Second year sucked because I had no recurring revenue, and I actually like fired a bunch of my retainer clients because I had this vision in my mind of like building this great education company and revolutionize the world and all this stuff. And so I had like 15,000 of monthly recurring revenue. And I literally went to all my clients and I was like, I don't even, it's hard to describe how stupid of a decision this was, but um, I worked myself out of the recurring revenue to do the one-off, and I learned my lesson. I'm like, I need to recur, not, I don't just need recurring revenue. I need recurring relationships, just like I did as an advisor. I built towards people were on a recurring relationship and I can help them grow. And now everything we do is a retainer, from fairly cheap to fairly expensive. And I we don't really do any one-off engagements at all anymore. We can. We will if we have to, but I try not to because I would rather be a partner. I'd rather like, sell a partnership and then deliver a partnership than just sell a product and, here's a quick fix, here's a band-aid or whatever. Um, it just philosophically lines better up to do it that way. And now like what you're a part of, which is like PCFO 4.0, is it's the same course actually, but just the whole business model is different. But what you're part of is we've now morphed it into what we call community coaching and consulting with exclusively financial entrepreneurs. So anyone is a personal CFO or wants to be a personal CFO or believes in the personal CFO mission. It's historically financial advisors, but we have people with accounting firms, people with, insurance focuses, people with 401k focuses. If they're a financial entrepreneur, I'm willing to help them. I'm just not working with like plumbers and like, people with carpet companies or whatever. That's awesome. I would just like send them, hey, Chris, here's a guy with a carpet company. Go for it. Um, so that's where we're at now. And it's been a very strange evolving beast, but I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did. I have
said a
I
lot of
actually,
stuff.
yeah, no, I have a couple follow-ups. A couple are quick. One is, were you 7 years into your financial planning advisory practice when you decided to make the jump? Or how many years in were you?
Uh, did you get 7 from broker check? That where 7 came from? Or
I don't know where I saw seven. I maybe just made it up. So
yeah,
you could tell
so
me how many years.
there was, I would say, let's see, 2020, 2010 to 2020 is 10 years. I technically wasn't licensed for all 10 of those years because I spent a year at Grubhub and then I spent a year in between transactional business and advisory, starting a podcast actually with no business model and losing all my money. Um, so I think it's like 7 or 8 years licensed as a FINRA advisor, something like that. But it was over the course of a 10-year span of time, if that makes sense.
And it does. When you decided to transition, was it difficult to talk to those families that you worked with? I'm sure some people you knew. How difficult was that? And the second piece, could you have continued to build that business, built the AUM, and maybe added another advisor that is servicing these people, but you continue to build that business and also had your own coaching business at the
On the
same
side.
time?
Yep.
Like, I was definitely already going to ask you, I'm sure your firm did not like the fact that you were coaching people and things like that. Was it actually just a slap on the wrist? Like, could you have continued to
Yeah, I could have stayed.
coach those people?
I didn't no, not for I think I was looking for an excuse to get out because I saw the opportunity bigger in the free world than at my firm. And the I could have easily stayed there and built a huge business. And continue to build a huge business. I think I was looking for an excuse. Speaking of intentionality, actually, I actually was fairly intentional with my exit plan, but um, the so my original exit plan was to start an RIA, which I registered actually, and then take my practice fully independent, all of my clients, and then have the coaching thing on the side. Because the coaching thing was not even really a business at that point. It was like just made a little bit of money over here. And I wrote a check to RA in a box for like $6,000. And then the RA was supposed to be done and ready. ADV was all done, but it was supposed to be live and active by like August. And there was like no response from RA in a box, no response from state of Illinois, and until like February of the next year. So I had already planned to exit in September. And so I left, and it was like I took it as a sign from God. I'm like, I think I need to just burn the boats. And so luckily my practice was next to my dad's. We had Rob Granner, David Henry, Simon Granner, Linda. There was other advisors I was working with. So as far as client transition and handoff, I wasn't a solo advisor. My first time I was solo. The second time I owned my own clients, but we had like an ensemble team kind of thing. So it was like you're going to be now working with another advisor at Opus, and there was a handful of clients that were like retainer only that didn't really have investments that continued with me just as a bridge the gap kind of thing. Like instead of paying through Thrivent's payment, pay through Stripe or something. So I had a handful of those, and I did some fixed insurance business and stuff. But the fact that the RAA took so long, that was I think what I needed to release myself from compliance, to release myself from like having to, uh, focus on that side of the business. And there's no way that I would have been able to pour so much resource into coaching to fully commit to becoming a coach if I was an advisor at the same time. I know tons of advisors that do advisor and coach at the same time. It's a great business, better than mine, because then they get to make money in both places. But for me to develop a skill set and get my 10,000 hours, I kind of need to like burn the boats and be like, I'm all in on coaching. I'm going to become the best coach that I could possibly be in the entire world. Will I make more money in production? Yes. But I need to develop this skill set because I think it's valuable. And any distraction I take away from coaching is just to collect money. And I did some of that. I wrote some insurance deals. I did a few annuity deals. I did several tax plans. I did like quote unquote personal production with regular people to keep the lights on for coaching at the beginning. Because I wanted to develop that skill set and I didn't want to build two businesses at the same time. I wanted to focus on one. And I also didn't want to have a conflict of interest with the advisors where like, oh yeah, just sign up for coaching. And then like real quick, come over here and take an 80-20 split and join my RIA. Like I didn't want them to feel like I was recruiting them. And now like, at the beginning, I was like, oh, well, people say you can't coach. And you're not a practicing advisor. You can't coach. Okay, watch me. So the other side of it is I've had many advisors tell me your coaching advice is less biased because you don't have a firm to recruit us to on the back end. Because every single person I know with a coaching program that's an advisor, they're like, yeah, get them to pay you for coaching. And then by the way, they're going to join your firm. 20% of them are going to join your firm and you get an override. It's like literally every single person with a coaching program has an RA or a BD behind it. And that's exactly how it works. And it's a manipulation process to get people from here to join there. Whereas now, because I don't have one, and you see in our school group, like we have people starting their own RAs or having their own RAs. It's like, I will coach you to do that. I didn't even really succeed as an RA. So I'm not teaching you how to do like what I did. I want you to be the best you could be. And if you want to stay at your firm, Mass, LPL, Thrivent, RAA, accounting firm, I don't care. I'm agnostic to what choices you make. I just want you to grow personally, professionally, and financially. And I have no incentive for you to join my downline or my RAA or my IMO or whatever. So that would have never been possible if I would have had my firm also, because then I would have found a way to get people over and I would have built the same thing that literally every other coach has built, a feeder system to my firm, which would be,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It would
go ahead.
be it would be messy and the reputation would come out quickly, just as every company that puts on a conference that people go to the conference, but it's like a back door to join X or Y or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's scummy. It's an old way of doing things. People do it every single day now, but it's interesting. And I selfishly ask because I freaking love coaching. I was the captain of every team I've ever played on. I got people in and out of my office, even though I have a lot less experience than them. Like, dude, could I just get 15, 20 minutes of your time? I ask as somebody who would like in a perfect world to have like a small group of people that I coach and facilitate and also run my practice, not as, I don't want to blow up a coaching business, but like I love the idea of helping people and take them where they want to be. And it's to me the a very similar thing growing an advisor's practice or just helping a human being get to where they want to be. But let's talk about, we only have a couple minutes left, the actual group that we're in. So I'll preface it by saying it's been a huge help so far for me. Like I couldn't, I can't speak high enough for what the group has given to me in my office. And every advisor or insurance agent, whether you sell annuities and life insurance or you're an advisor, it's very siloed.
Yeah.
I like to say everybody in our office at Mass Mutual is a bunch of planets next to each other. And some of them are in their own solar systems and ecosystems. And yes, we have a broker dealer, but a lot of people, outside of having a cup of coffee or whatever, everybody's on their own for the most
Yeah.
part. And it's challenging if you don't have a team that has similar ambitions as you. We have so many ambitious people at my firm, but I wanted and needed something more to me. I even get mentorship at my firm and it's amazing, but it
Yeah.
wasn't to the level that I wanted it to be. And having joined the group, you get so many. We have, how many people are in the group? 25?
25 or something. Yeah, it's growing. I'm adding one or two a week at something. I don't know, but 25 maybe.
Yeah, I remember after the first week of doing the Q&As, we have Q&As twice a week, and leaving those meetings, going into an actual meeting with a client or a prospect, or I'm phoning or whatever I'm doing, feeling energized, leaving that, getting a bunch of ammunition and new information based on other people's experience and blasting off into the universe and going back into life. If you
Yeah.
don't have that and you don't get that feedback every single day, it's challenging because you're kind of stuck, or you have to make decisions or errors that you could have joined a group and mentorship to help you overcome those things before they become real problems. So if you could kind of share, what does the personal CFO mean to you, and also who would be best served or fit to join, our group?
Well, I would say here's my subtle plug. I got it on my license plate. So it means enough to go to the DMV and get vanity plates, one on the back of the car, one here, because there's no place for it on the front. Um, PCFO means to me um, becoming integral to the planning and decision making of clients. And if I can build an army of personal CFOs that care more about people than they do about profit, they're have profit awareness, but people focus. The best thing that they can do is invest in the lives of their clients and their team and their family, and that that compound the compound interest of relationships developing over time. People can do incredible things, and so many advisors are focused on what's the size of the portfolio, what's the size of the life insurance case that I can sell, what's the size of my P&L, my asset management, all these freaking metrics, and no one cares about where are you allocating your time, where are you allocating your energy, and who are you spending your time with at home, at the office, at whatever. And so I want to transform the financial services industry through developing one advisor into a personal CFO one at a time, to just help them do the right thing for the right person at the right time for the right reasons. And I don't care about business models. I don't care how people get paid. I care about doing the right thing for the right people at the right time always, and telling the truth. And there's just a lot of advisors that lie. and that just do the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. And it's like, that doesn't need to be the way that it goes. Like this industry does not need to have a bad rap. Clients don't need to be scared of financial advisors. They just need to find the right one that's got the good, not only a good head on their shoulders, but a good heart in their chest, in equal value. You can't just be brainiac, and you can't just be like the most empathetic person that doesn't know how to. You need both. You need to be able to calculate things immediately and empathize. And we need both of those, head and heart, both marching down the field. And I believe that if I can stay focused on PCFO and building the right advisors, I don't care if they're a multi-million-dollar advisor or you're just getting started. If you're the right person, we'll invest 15 minutes. Me or somebody else on my team will invest 15 minutes to see if there's a alignment. We go anywhere from like $10,000 a month all the way down to $500 a month. So we have a level for everyone, whether it's consulting to sell your business or we just want to sell my first financial plan to do the right thing. We can help people virtually at any level. Um, if you're a financial entrepreneur, you got the financial entrepreneur inside you.
I love it. It's been awesome for me. And to your point about, finding the right people, everybody in that group, I'd say all of us have different gifts. We're all great at different things. And it's super helpful to have people that are really good and shine where you have weaknesses. Because at the end of the day, in 2024, people are working on emotional intelligence. They might be introverted, but you need to learn how to speak to people. You might be the brainiac, but you need to learn how to empathize with people. Or the person who's empathetic needs to learn how to close a deal or needs to learn how to get out of their own way because they're best friends with everybody, but
Yeah,
they can't get someone to meet with them on a serious level. I think the group offers that. It offers different perspectives and people that can help you in areas of weakness. And
for
it's
sure.
just a place that at the end of the day, you could hold yourself accountable if that's what you want.
Sure.
So
For sure.
I appreciate your time. This has been great. Hopefully, this is first of many. This was just like an intro, and there's plenty more where this came from. But I appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure so far getting to know you, being a part of the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
I
Likewise.
feel honored and privileged to make the move to join. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to what the future brings. So I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, dude. Give yourself a year and you'll be a PCFO coach keep your practice and we'll make you a player coach. We're going to need more people than me that care about helping other advisors too. As long as you help yourself, put your own oxygen mask on first, you know, and get, do the best you can. There's all kinds of opportunity to continue to help clients and advisors. So appreciate your contribution to the group. Also, you're a stud, and I'm excited and grateful to have you in the club as well.
Appreciate it. It's just the start.
Yeah,
So many more to
absolutely.
come, and I will see you on Thursday.
Sounds good. We'll see you then. Peace.
All right, Simon. Bye.